Luke, before we concentrate on current events at Tranmere, first chance we've had to speak to you since you signed a contract extension. Tell us why you decided to do so and the reasons behind that.
I think as soon as I kind of came in at the club, obviously back in September, August, whenever it was, just the feel for the place straight away. I just loved the lads, loved the kind of community side of it. Geographically loved it as well. My family have settled in really quickly, so obviously now under 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬, probably the best form I've been in for a while. The boys are consistent. We know kind of what 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬 wants from us. So as soon as kind of the club started talking about a new deal, I just wanted to get it sorted as quick as possible, really.
Were your thoughts the same even when things weren't going so well results-wise?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I can't remember the exact date that I signed the deal, but obviously it was before we kind of went on this run anyway. So even when we were slightly lower in the league, it was never really something that even crossed my mind that we weren't going to pick up results, and the performances were already starting to pick up. Thought we were a little bit unlucky a few games early on before we went on this run, but yeah, I think I knew kind of deep down that what the club was about, and believed in the club, believed in the gaffer and the boys. So yeah, it was an easy decision for me.
In footballing terms then, what makes this the right move for you? Well, you said you felt pretty much at home straight away. What sort of were the factors behind that?
I think obviously being a goalkeeper is always going to be a slightly different position. Everything kind of is kind of different. I think we got obviously me, Joe Murphy, Connor Robson as well, the young lads. And I think you just got to have a good relationship with the goalie coach first and foremost. And me and Murph kind of hit it off straight away. Get along with him really well off the pitch. On the pitch, he's fantastic. Still, the standards he sets every day are still unbelievable. So that kind of helped me settle in really quickly. Knew a couple of the lads before, which obviously helped me settle in quickly as well. And then obviously when my family came up, it's a big thing obviously when you have a family and you hope they settle in, you hope they enjoy the area, and they loved it. So it was an easy thing for me, just kind of natural thing to then want to stay here longer. And it's working well.
I mean, you're not a young guy, you're 28, but from a goalkeeping perspective, you've got your best years in front of you. And Joe Murphy, great experienced keeper, but a tough old taskmaster, I think. Yeah,
I mean, he's been there, done it. Any problems you have on the pitch, off the pitch, Murph's either experienced it or he knows how to kind of help you deal with it. He's been there, done it for years and years now. He's still at that top level and top standard every day. So yeah, he's one that is so easy to learn off of. So yeah, I love it with him every single day. I love the lads. It's just a real enjoyable place to kind of be.
Specifically, things that you've learned during your time with Joe, and things that he's pointed out that you've improved on?
I think it's just kind of all-round consistency, I'd say. Kind of when I first spoke to Murph, he was kind of, he was real positive, but he said, look, there's things that I think you can slightly improve on, whether that's just going from a 5 out of 10 to a 6 or a 7 out of 10 and just keeping, goalkeeping is all about consistency. You don't have to be the best player every single week. You're not a winger or a striker that's got to score every week, but it's just kind of keeping that consistent standard. And I think Murph and 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬 as well, obviously playing in the position, knows that well. And when you've got a manager that's played in that position, it instantly is a little bit of a relief, because not all managers, let's say, understand goalkeepers. So I just think finding that consistency, that level of, right, stick to that, doesn't have to be amazing, as long as you don't dip below a certain form. And I think Murph's kind of got that spot on with me, with the training, with the match, with pre-match, everything like that. It's just working well.
You mentioned about 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬𝗔 understanding goalkeepers because he's been one himself. There's always been that thing about goalkeepers being a different breed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's slightly changed. I wouldn't say we're quite as strange as people make out sometimes.
Just a bit strange.
Just a little bit, yeah. But it's definitely it's a specialised position in a specialised sport. But yeah, I've had managers in the past who, just don't understand the position, and you're kind of up against it straight away. But with 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬𝗔, like you said, he knows what it takes. He knows the do's and don'ts of it, and it kind of leaves us. He comes over and train every day for 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, checks in, but he knows, he trusts Murph, he trusts me just to kind of crack on and do what we need to do, which hasn't always been the case in my career. But yeah, that's kind of given me a real good platform to go off.
You mentioned before that you don't have to be the best player every week, you just need to be consistent. But players further down the field, the outfield players, they can make mistakes, and quite often it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it does. If you make a mistake, most of the time it will matter in a really negative sense. So how do you cope with that when you do make a mistake?
I think, to be fair, I think that's one of the things I've learned massively with age. Age, games, experience, and like I said, look, I'm going to give the credit to Murph again. It's just, like I said, I know I keep banging on about it, but it is just keeping that consistent level of not being too high when you're doing well, not being too low when you're not doing so well. I think when I was younger, I probably would have overanalyzed a lot of things, thought way too much into things, got myself worked up, whereas now it's, as and when I do make a mistake, it's right, cool, I've been here 200 and 250 times before, and you just kind of get back to that level state again, which, yeah, is an easy thing to do here because you've got the backing of the players, you've got the backing of the staff, so yeah.
And it's learning to turn those negatives into positives, because you learn every day in training, but you learn more in match situations where it really counts. And if your positioning was slightly wrong, then it's something that mentally you can look to rectify next time around.
Yeah, I think that's always not a cliche, but I think it's, especially in goalkeeping terms, if someone says, all right, you've made a mistake, learn from it, okay, but we might have lost 1-0, we might have lost 2-1 in the last minute, whatever it is. So I think, yeah, if you're a striker, you might learn from certain runs you make or certain misses you might do, but you get highlighted so much more as a goalkeeper. So I think it's just trying to do as much as you can before a match, during a match, whatever it is, to kind of nullify those mistakes, because, yeah, okay, right, when you make one, obviously you do want to learn from it, but it's a lot easier and a lot better if you then don't make those mistakes, which obviously are going to get highlighted a lot more. So I think when I have made them, I mean, there was one that most people probably won't see, but against Notts County, where the lads had a shot from pretty far out, it's gone under me, somehow squirmed wide. There's one that I've gone out and dropped, probably the easiest catch I've had of the game, and George gets in and helps me out. So yeah, a lot of it's down to the boys in front as well that get you out of those sticky situations.
You've developed a really good relationship, particularly with the defenders in front of you, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, from when I came in, I knew Tom, I knew kind of George from playing against him. So I knew kind of what they possessed as players on the pitch, off the pitch. So I think it took us, I wouldn't say a while, because I think we gelled pretty quickly, but I just think that everything now is slowly coming into place where we've had a consistent team, especially I'd say back kind of 3, back 4, including myself. So the more games you can play together, the more you kind of get to know each other and the trust you have with each other. And I think that's really kind of come to a head in the last 10, 11 games. And
you're pretty vocal, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is the more, look, I say to Tom and I tell George all the time, George's a good one for it, but I might tell him 10 things in the space of 5 minutes. They probably know 9.5 of them, but on the off chance they've not seen something, not done something, they're just, right, thumbs up, cool. And the way I see it is the more I can kind of organise, the less work I then have to do. So yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand. Because
you see the whole game that's in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, there's players that I've played with before where it's kind of turning around, giving you a look as if to say, like, I know how to do my position, don't be telling me how to do it. But it's just, I think Tom, George, Jans, whoever's kind of been in front of me, all have, like, I'd say a mutual respect of, right, we're all kind of working here together. So we all get each other really well, and we all kind of work well together, which helps massively.
Things going really well at the moment, despite that defeat at Barrow. A few weeks ago, that might have dented confidence. I get the feeling that that just hasn't this time around.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I'd say, especially since obviously Nigel's been appointed, the turn in results has obviously been clear for everyone to see, but I think performance-wise, confidence-wise, work ethic, kind of day in, day out, nothing's really changed. I think we're just kind of getting, like I said, that consistency now, where we're doing what Nigel wants us to do. He has his kind of philosophy, he has his points, and we're really kind of buying into that. So I just think it's getting as good as possible at that, and I think that obviously has shown in time that we're kind of getting that on a more and more consistent basis, and we'll take that one back. We'll obviously win more games than we lose if we stick to that more often than not.
And you mentioned earlier on about how easily your family have been able to settle here since the move, and it's really important, isn't it? Obviously, your football is of primary importance. But if you are playing really well and everything's going really well, but your family aren't settled, it doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's as simple as that. I mean, I've known lads in the past that have enjoyed their football at certain places, but if your family aren't happy, at the end of the day, you're here for 5-6 hours a day. It's them that are on their own every day, are having to kind of pick up the pieces. My wife's brilliant with it. She loves it up here. We were kind of this side of the water before. We now bought a house on the other side. It was a big move for me kind of coming this year, obviously being out of contract. My daughter's 3 next week, so we know that it's obviously schools, things like that. So it was a big move to kind of think about, which is what sold me on it as well. We love it up here. She's thriving. My wife's loving it. So yeah, it all kind of ties in and helps me to then be happy and obviously then put the performances in if you're not worried about everything else off the pitch.